you. Thank you. Thank you. Welcome to The Long Shot. It is a podcast. Good desk. I am one of your hosts. My name is Sean Conroy. Also with me on the show, as always, the luminous Amber Kenny is here.
Hello.
I don't know about you, but I'm in a bit of a kerfuffle right now. I just sprinted in the house knowing that I was late and,
You're fine. How are you feeling?
Not great. Better than I was. Was I complaining last week? Was I really under the weather? I don't remember.
You weren't complaining, but you were sick. Yeah.
Yeah.
What was I bitching about?
Yeah. Walking through the world this way is wonderful. No, I feel better than I did, but I still feel shitty.
That's a long time.
Yes. And I tested for COVID a number of times and it came up negative. So I guess it's just the flu or something. But it's time for the flu to fly. Like enough is enough,
Yeah.
And then I also did a thing, which I probably, I went out twice today for meals with people. I went to breakfast with a couple of friends, one of whom should be legitimately concerned about illness, like he is immunocompromised, and he was fine. The other guy
bringing
well, I didn't think about it, and then I got there and I was like, fuck. But the other guy is the one who was like, what are you doing? Why are you sound sick? You're sick. Like one of those kind of people. And I said, yes, I have COVID. And I'm sorry to say that you probably have it now too. So
mine's different. It's deadly in 24 hours.
Right. But anyway, they got over it. And so we had a nice breakfast. It was the people from the Swarm, the greatest improv group in the history of the world. So that was nice. Although I will say, it is funny to watch people. I guess we're all at a different stage of becoming elderly at a certain point in our lives. But one of these guys is my age, but it's like having breakfast with my parents. Like it's crazy. It's so crazy.
How so?
Well, just like we got
ordering?
there. Forget even getting to the ordering part.
Okay.
We got there. And the guy was like, the maitre d', the
maitre d' at this breakfast place. Oh, right.
The maitre d' turned to the concierge. Yeah. And he was like,
Beverly Hills
"Building,
breakfast.
sir. Very nice to see you again. Your usual table with the plaque in your honor." No, the guy said, "Here's some menus. Go sit wherever you want," because it's a fancy restaurant. That's what they do at fancy restaurants.
Pictures of the food on the menu.
Right. So then we went over, and my friend went to this one table, and he was like,
It's drafty.
Well, no. We were outside, so he was like, "It's wet. They're going to be wet," and he didn't even check to see if they were wet.
Hurricane yesterday.
So then I was like, there's a big table right here, like right there. And I was like, what about this one? And he's like, too loud, too close to the street. Is there another? So then we go around to the other side of the building. And then, yes, we get to the ordering, which doesn't happen fast enough because the service is clearly terrible here. And then, there's so many, both of them are insane with the specifics on the orders. Like, can I get the butter on the side of the toast? Not on the toast, but I do want it on the side. No salt, no pepper in the grits. No,
Oh my God.
Just it was like a 10-minute thing,
You're getting a tip, a generous tip from me. Do not worry.
So anyway, it was just a funny thing. I mean, they both are a lot, but one of them in particular, it's really like it is like having dinner with my parents because every little thing, and I love my parents. Happy anniversary. My parents celebrated their 57th wedding anniversary yesterday.
That's
57
huge.
years.
That's a long time. That is an accomplishment.
It is crazy because it feels to me like it was yesterday that they got married, like it seems so recent in my memory. Yeah. It's like, okay, let's go to Our Lady of Fatima Church and let's go to Schraff's for the reception, and we're all going to dance the hora. I don't know. I don't know what they. Definitely not the hora.
It's
But and then I had a meeting. I had a meeting before this, which is why I was late. And I'm not, I'm trying to sound like I have important things going on in my life,
you
and I
do.
really don't. But I had this meeting about my film, and like
That's exciting.
We're getting there. We're getting there. Yeah, well, one of the things is we have to have a poster, and I was like, should we have a? It's a short film, so who gives a fuck? No one's ever going to watch it. But I was like, should we have like a tagline? So I was like, yeah. So now I have to come up with a tagline.
That's fun
for this short. And I know you work in media marketing, so I thought that maybe
this could be a brainstorm sesh.
Well, I mean, I have some ideas, and I just want to run them by you and see.
And I'll just do like,
see what you think. I should have. This is the kind of bit that if I had written it ahead of time, it would be great. But since I didn't, it's going to start and go nowhere. And then
you can just list off famous taglines that already exist. Like
if I knew any,
yeah.
Well, okay. So here's a couple of ideas. Yeah, that's a great idea. Here's some ideas I have for the
Knickers,
tagline.
they satisfy. Like it doesn't even have to.
Oh, just ads.
Taglines.
Yeah.
Just do it.
Nestle's is scrunchious when it crunches. By the way, written by my an old girlfriend of mine's father, who was like an advertising guy.
Scrunches when crunches.
Yeah,
wow.
It was like an '80s Ring Around the Collar. He was the guy who came up with Ring Around the Collar. You ever heard Ring Around the Collar?
Yeah.
You know what it's for?
It's no.
Whisk. Whisk around the collar for Ring Around the Collar. It was like Anyway, here's some taglines I came up with for my short. Let me see. I'll look at the paper that I wrote them down on so I can
sure. Open the document.
Let's see what this. Here we go. What about this? Here, look out! This has big jaws. How about this one? There are numerous types of encounters. This one is close, and it's the third kind.
I really like all these. Yeah. Maybe you could have different versions of the poster so that you can utilize them all.
What about this one? The sixth sheep sick. Too bad he uses his sixth sense.
It's tough. It doesn't really flow off the tongue well.
Do you want to go out for pizza? That would be Superman.
What even is that?
It's a tagline for Batman Returns. It's late and there's not a lot of light out. That was for
Twilight?
No, that was for the Dark Knight. Twilight was a good guess though. How many shades of gray are there?
You'd be surprised by the answer.
That's a better one. You'd be surprised how many shades of gray there are.
Look this link.
Oh, they're 50 shades of gray. Great.
Oh, that's surprising.
So anyway, it's just a funny place to be because one of the things that I have never gotten a hold of in anything I've ever done, any creative project, and I'm always jealous of people who have come up with this stuff for their improv show or their stand-up show or whatever. It's like, what's the name of the show that's going to hook people and get them to come in,
Yeah.
And now it's not just the name. It's like, what's the tagline that's going to make people go, I get it and I want it,
Right.
And my tagline is going to be something like, this is a short film, so no one cares,
I feel like we could do better. Mm-hmm. For the poster itself, are you just going to use a still from the film or are you doing like artwork?
I don't want to say what it is, but it is using stuff from the film. Yes.
That's cool.
It's based on it's well, it doesn't matter.
Never.
Like, yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
We don't have to, we can move on.
No.
I just
Let's be unspecific and not move
I
on.
I will talk, and that will get you off the hook.
Yeah.
I know, because that's like a specific question that the interns that I was managing this summer, they would be like, the poster for this movie features this, and that's not in the movie. And it's like, because it's like selling an idea.
Right.
Also, I didn't design it. Like, it's like weird to defend something that isn't my work, but that's often like the more you look at things through like that weird marketing lens, like the Bridesmaids poster is a really good example. Them like iconically like leaned up against a brick wall wearing hot pink bridesmaid dresses, and then she's in a wedding dress. That never happens in the movie, but it just
Right.
like sells the idea of the movie really well.
Well, my
And
understanding of that is because
and
they had
it's an
actually
album cover.
oh, I thought it was that they had torn that brick wall down by the time they shot the movie. They shot the photo, and then when it came
Right.
time to shoot that scene, it was like, okay, guys, wrap it up. We're going to do the wall scene. Boss, I got bad news for you. They tore the wall down. It's okay. We'll do it against the tree.
I wish I should know this. It would be better, but it is referencing some famous like rock album as well.
Brick in the Wall by Pink
Sure.
Floyd.
Sure. But like stuff like that where no one would say that poster doesn't represent the movie,
Right.
but that never happens in the movie. So
Right.
it's I don't know.
And it's also interesting because, or I don't know, I don't listen to this show, so I have no idea if it's interesting or not. But I was listening to I was listening. I wasn't watching. It was on YouTube, but I had it on while I was doing other stuff.
Mhm.
And it was a Writers Guild symposium, a bunch of writers talking about
that. I really do.
I know you do. And I'm so bad at it because I get so bored so quickly. But I'm like, oh, Amber would be able to sit through this. I should try to be more disciplined and learn things from these people.
Give me one kernel of behind the scenes info. Right. Like I'm jonesing for it.
And these guys were talking about selling their shows. It was about how did they get into the room and sell the shows. And it was really interesting because I think it was shot like 10 years ago, maybe. And it was like the business has
everything
completely
is different. Yeah,
changed,
like,
you know?
Like we got in our horse and buggy and we wrote a letter to the studio.
We cranked up the old 13-inch black and whiter.
Right. Like it couldn't be more not related to how the world works.
Well, what was interesting was, and like, I think that there are aspects of the television business that I am very good at in terms of writing comedy, writing jokes, writing story, writing punctuation, acting. No, but there's also stuff that I'm fully aware that I am not. No, Jeff, not now.
No. Smudgy. I thought maybe if I did this, he'd stop barking.
He gets the side to side and the up and down.
He's like, oh, sorry, Mom. I thought you wanted me to.
Right. But there's also stuff that I'm not at all good at, and I'm fully aware of that, which is like thinking big picture and what's the commercial appeal. I'm like,
and how to
I want to do what I want to do. It doesn't have to do with what I think is going to appeal to people, you know? Mm-hmm. And these people,
okay. I think that's why there's different jobs. You just have to find the right partnership.
I agree, but the point these people were all making, not all of them, but some of them, two or one of them,
like half of them.
Yeah. There was like 8 of them, and I think it was about 3/8 of them were making this point. Was that fractions are important? No, that they would go in to pitch things, and it would be from the jump. So about marketing, and it was like, what are we gonna like? The one guy that
what's the hook?
Yeah, one guy that talked a lot was this guy Doug Ellen, who was the creator of that fucking show about the Marky Mark and the Funky Bunch show. You know, it was Entourage.
Oh, I was like.
No, that's what that show was. That show was Marky Mark.
I know.
Marky Mark and the Funky Bunch, but it was different people.
I was I have been watching 90s music videos recently, and so I just
You were
kept
like,
seeing.
good vibrations?
Yeah, I just saw images of that
Yeah.
music video, and I was like, "That's not helping." I don't
Calvin
think
Klein
that's
underwear? Yeah. So he was talking about how they went in with Marky Mark and the Funky Bunch to the
uh-huh.
pitch session.
Oh, the whole Funky Bunch.
Well, I just think of him as Marky Mark and the Funky Bunch, like that's
Like,
just his
oh, please
name.
call me Mr. Funky Bunch.
Yeah, exactly. His whole name is just Marky Mark and the Funky Bunch. So he would go into the meetings with them, and it just sold in the room because it was like it's his story, it's his life, it's about him.
Yeah. And like he's famous, so like
Right, it's going to be great. And they would be like, yeah, Marky Mark and the Funky Bunch, we love it. It's such a good vibration. Yeah. And then they found out that he was not going to be in it.
and everyone
And
was
they were like,
"Aw."
what? Yeah.
Yeah.
And so it was like, how are we going to sell this? And who's going to play Marky Mark and the Funky Bunch? And there was, he even gave an example of a note they got at one point, which I don't know how exaggerated this was, but he was like, they just couldn't believe that somebody who wasn't a famous movie star could play a famous movie star.
Yeah.
It's also funny to me only because of what I know about Marky Mark and the Funky Bunch, of like thinking of him as this incredible star.
Mm-hmm.
Like, yeah, he's done okay. You know what I mean? But at one point they were like, what if we never see his face? We just see his feet anytime he comes in the room.
Like
Which just really,
Nana from the Muppet Babies.
it really made me laugh of like, who thought of that and who pitched it in a meeting? And that was a whole other discussion they had, was like taking notes from people who don't know what the fuck they're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
But it was interesting to hear them talk about going into a pitch meeting for a show and having the name of the show, the tagline of the show, the image
this is what the poster could look like. Yeah,
exactly. And on the one hand, I'm like, what a crock of shit. But on the other hand, it's like, what a not of a crock of a shit, you know?
Wow, what a beautiful argument you just made.
No, but it does. It does make sense. Yeah.
Go down.
We love when you come in to pitch to us because you put things so well. You truly are a writer.
Yeah.
But it makes sense because it's like you can just fucking sum it up for people that quick. And I will say, I wrote this pilot a couple years ago that I love, but even the title of it is wrong. And I know that, and I've never fixed it. And it doesn't have a tagline, and there's no easy way to sum it up, only because I think I haven't worked on it hard enough to get it to that point, to like go, what's the juice? What's the thing that when I say this, people go, yes. Whereas more recently, I worked on this other thing, and it has all that. And it's like, I just say this, and people go, I get it, you know? And that's just something I never thought about. And now I'm like, you got to think about these things because that's how people sell things. You know?
Yeah. Well, and also, I guess coming in with the marketing, not to disparage anyone listening that might be in that role, and it seems like a fun role
Danny, we're talking about you.
That I even might want to be in at some point. Like, who knows? I bounce around a lot in corporate America, but what I've heard is that they just lack imagination even more than you might think.
Right.
Like the more you can paint a picture and spell it out,
spoon feed it, yeah,
and the marketing helps that as well, because they might not do exactly what you delivered, but it's like, we have a starting place. I get it.
Right. And you know, the other thing is, like, I go, well, marketing, who gives a shit? That's somebody else's job. You're walking in the room to sell a show. You are literally trying to make a sale. So why would you not focus on?
Right. Well, and I would argue it's a tougher landscape now. Like marketing is even more important. No, I'm not just saying that because that's my job, but it's such a saturated market. Before, if you had the right time slot, people are probably going to watch the show.
Right.
Like, because there's 4 channels, you know what I mean? Like you're gonna
right.
Now it's like there's so many channels, there's so many streaming services, there's so many things going on, and you're trying to market to like this niche population that might be interested in it. And it's about finding them and also making the case really quickly that they would be interested in it and telling them easily how they can get to it, because it isn't about turning on channel 4 on Thursday. It's like you might need an app, you might need like, you know what I mean? Like you have to deliver a lot of information. So it is challenging.
I get that it's on Peacock, but hear me out. It's about a guy named Django and he gets unchained. I get it. Let's do it. So anyway, I'm now in the headset of like, I got to come up with a tagline. How do I come up with a tagline? What makes a good tagline? You know, I don't know. I guess we'll see. He's a king who likes speeches.
But is he good at them?
The King's Speech.
Time will tell. No, I understand. I knew what it was. I
know you know. I'm talking to the other people in the room. Oh, believe me, I know you're always 5 steps ahead of me, at least.
I like that you're doing it as though it's clues for a crossword puzzle. It's not like a catchphrase.
I have the name of the show on the back of this piece of paper, and I'm going to turn it over in a second. But here's the tagline. Here's the tagline. I have a thing, and it exists, and we are it. This is us.
Oh my God. I liked it. It was the most confusing way to describe that.
It's a sports utility vehicle that solves crimes that's been turned inside out. Law and Order SVU.
Oh my God.
Sean, the marketing department called. You're fired.
Seems like you haven't watched any of the episodes.
Right. No. I'm just in marketing. I don't get involved in the creative decisions.
Well, and I've also seen, not to be like too inside baseball, but I have seen more than once. So I think this might be a reoccurring pattern where the first time I hear about a show at work, it's exactly what you're saying. It's pitched as, it's baseball in outer space. That's never been, but like, it's something like, something really.
You couldn't do that because the ball would just keep going. There's no,
right. Well, there's
no resistance.
But like,
everything would be a home run.
So the show is pitched one way, and you're like, oh, okay, I get how to market that, and I get why you guys picked it up and developed it. But then in the creation of the show, when you actually get the episodes, you're like,
welcome to another episode of Football in the Center of the Earth.
Right. And I'm like, I guess that idea is kind of there, but the bigwigs in marketing are so in love with that initial idea. And I'm like, I'm watching the episode. That idea ain't here. Like, okay.
So they already had to start working on it before the finished product came out. Yeah. So they're still stuck on the pitch Bible when in fact.
Or just got so excited about that idea that they went 100,000 miles an hour that direction. And
which is the speed of light in space.
Right. Science podcast. And then I'm like, yeah, that character appears once, like the one that you thought you were gonna hang this all on, but
so I'm gonna send you a list of taglines. So
please do.
So you can tell me which are good and which are not. I'm not kidding, by the way.
No, I'm not either.
I want
I'm
your
also
feedback.
Not sure. It is what it is. I'm trying to just like own myself and my authentic me, but like. Unfortunately or fortunately, I did come up through comedy and have like a weird brain. So sometimes the things that I fall in love with aren't necessarily what the rest of the marketing department wants.
But that's why I think you're the right person, because as you may have noticed, my brain is also
a comedian.
A little weird. Yes.
Yeah.
I came up through comedy and tragedy. I'm still in the middle of both.
It's called life.
I wear both masks.
Well, that was my favorite. I mean, we'll get to it. We haven't even started checking in. We're an hour in. But when I was running the social team for this summer, I didn't have anyone to ask. So I was making these decisions and I'd be like, I'm gonna do this, but I don't we'll see if people get mad.
And I feel like those kind of decisions where you're deciding something that will affect a bunch of people and that you're going to put out to the world, it's hard to make those decisions by yourself without getting input from anybody.
Yes.
You know? So that's why I want you to just look at the list and go,
I would love to.
Yes. You just like all of them.
I mean, have you met me? That's pretty accurate. Rhyming's good. A play on an existing catchphrase is good, but distinctive enough. Just hints as you get started.
Okay, we'll see. All right, well, it's time for a segment on the show that we like to call
oh no.
Sorry, checking in. So let's start today with Amber. Checking in. Amber, what's the latest?
This isn't actually my official checking in, but I do, with your illness, and
I am sorry, there is a mask over my mic, so you'll be safe.
Thank you. But with just other people in my life, it does feel like COVID is closing in once again.
It's come back. Yeah.
And
I don't have COVID, but it easily could have been COVID. And I tested for it numerous times thinking it was that. Because I've also had people close to me who have had COVID. And I don't just mean, yes, they were physically very close to me.
But near and dear.
We had at the time a close relationship. Then they got COVID.
You were like, I'm never talking to you again.
Not interested.
Ew.
Yes. Cooties. ... circle ...
Wait, ... circle ...
Do you know that one? Yeah.
I don't know.
When I was a kid, you would go ... circle ... Now I got the cootie shot, so nobody could give you the cooties. It was
that's a good catchphrase.
It was a different time. It was during the Middle Ages. It was the Black Plague. It was the cooties. You know, you did not want those. Go ahead.
Okay, but for real, we've sort of hinted at it. Officially, I am just doing one job again at work.
You did say that, yes.
The person I was covering for is back. Very excited.
Were you, when you say you were covering for him, were you it's a him or a her, I don't know.
Him.
But were you like, yeah, he's I just saw him. He went to the restroom. Yeah,
no, it meant I was running the social team and also doing my other job on the brand team.
Right.
And it is funny because that is a higher level job than I have currently. And I was doing two. And so now he's back and I'm keeping it in check, but I feel the chip on my shoulder. I feel it. I feel its presence, and
you have become more powerful, and now you're expected to squelch your power a little bit.
Well, no, more just like
don't tell me what to do, Bob.
He has an office. I don't have an office. And
that's hard.
Yeah, and I spent the summer with this whole team, and I love them, and they were great, and I felt like we created this really cool community. I was really proud of my big accomplishment as a leader is they all say sassy things now. Like the quietest member will throw a zinger, and I'm like, I did this.
Hmm.
I cultivated this culture. It might be good or bad, but I made
Amber,
this
we
happen.
want to do your performance evaluation. You really got the zingers going in the break room.
But I mean, like, there's people that like even Alex when he came back, he was like, "Wow, she really came out of her shell." I was like, I know that. I really think that was me. Like, I think I cultivated a place where people felt comfortable doing that. I may have gone too far, and it might be like an HR issue, but
Okay, guys, we're going to talk today about some branding strategies. So if everybody could just take a seat. Fuck you, Gary.
we'll see.
Amber, look what you
And
did.
no, we talked about it. That it wouldn't count as a funny singer. Like, you need to have some humor in there. You need to have some
Oh, I
wit.
find fuck you hilarious. It's like my favorite zinger.
Um, And but so now they're having like meetings that I'm not involved in. And I also like part of me is like, yes, I don't have to be in that meeting. I have so much free time, but I'm also like, oh, like what are they doing?
Guys, I'm outside.
Yeah, totally.
Open the window.
Totally.
I won't say anything. I just want to hear what you're talking about.
And yeah, I don't know. It'll be interesting to see how the rest of the year goes.
Mm-hmm.
I can't believe that I'm even mentioning this, but so like I am legitimately working on Thursday. I'm doing my job, my one job, but I'm working on
The
it.
same job you've had the whole time. You just had another one on top of it. Now
Correct.
you don't have that one. So
Right.
you're just doing the original one.
Yes, but I'm working on a active, important project, and I'm working on it with my coordinator who sits next to me.
Mm-hmm.
And I
in
go
your
over,
in your not office.
right, in my cubicle, and so I'm
Mhm.
sitting next to her, and we're working through something, and a man from a different department who works with us and is great, and I love him, but he comes like it was like I was the flame and they were all moss. They all just started like standing around
Mhm.
and talking about whatever. And I was like, I'm busy. And everyone's like, ha ha ha. I was like, that wasn't a joke. Like, get out of here. You have
Oh, there goes Amber with another one of her singers.
like
She's
you
so
have
funny.
all of these people had full offices that I'm like, you can have this conversation in a room and close the door. Like, why are
Right.
you choosing to do it at my desk? I get it. I'm very popular and you like me, but go away.
Did you ever think about getting an air horn?
I have one.
Do you really?
No, I think I got rid of it.
Because that would scare the shit out of everybody.
Mm-hmm.
If you just blew off an air horn and then we're like, guys, let's go.
Oh, well, and it's just time and place. I guess that's the thing that is wild, and maybe it's something I need to start talking about with employees as like part of their development. But I feel like I'm very aware of the situation. Like I can tell, like, oh, are you busy? Are you not busy? Is this a good time to talk? In fact, I will ask those specific questions before diving into things. And everyone else just like comes to me like in the middle of something. And I was like, do you even care if I'm available to talk to you right now?
Yeah, I think that's such a good, I mean,
It's
look,
crazy.
I don't know if you know this about me, but I love to fuck around. Like I love to just
You're a goofy guy.
waste time and make fun of things, throw out a couple of zingers, fuck you, Gary, fuck you, Alex, whatever.
Oh, such good singers.
Yeah. And, but when I was running a writer's room, there was work that needed to be done.
Totally.
And like you said, I was very aware of like, the clock is ticking. We have this much time. It's going to take this long to get this thing done. By this time, we need to start doing it. And I think, and I also have, fortunately or unfortunately, still 30 years after I left the profession, I still have the stage presence of a fucking junior high school teacher. So I can go,
Guys. And you get silent.
Yeah. Not something I'm proud of, but it is a real thing. And I understand that. And I know how to, I'm like King Arthur with the fucking sword he pulled out of the stone, Excalibur. I know how to wield my power.
Okay.
But there were definitely a couple of people over the years I was running Mr. Pickles where, and I'm thinking of one person in particular, where after they got more and more
Yeah.
comfortable, they just wouldn't stop. And it was always fucking playtime, to the point where I was like, you have to stop, like whatever. And they still were like, and it was like, I don't want to work with this person anymore, you
Yeah, yeah,
know?
yeah.
And in
Yeah.
a job like that, where you're getting hired back year by year,
That's important. Yeah, you
yeah.
take that
And of
in.
course, we didn't hire that person back, and they went on to be way more successful on way bigger shows than
Yeah.
what we had. But I didn't regret it, because I was like, this is not helpful.
We're
I
not
have
getting
things I need
anything
to
done.
do. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It's funny. I'm also doing all of this leadership training at work because I now have one employee that officially reports to me, even though, again, I led a whole team all summer
Mm-hmm.
long. Again, chip, 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 chip on my shoulder. But so they're like,
How's your office, Gary?
they're having me go through training because I'm a new leader. And I was like,
Uh-huh.
what was all that? Okay. But sure. But part of it I had to take, and a lot of it's fine, it's harmless, but a lot of it is very silly. And
It's like
part of it,
Simon Says kind of stuff. Like Simon Says, you're going to lead the Simon Says today, Amber. So be ready.
no, it's like, think about how some people communicate differently than other people. It's like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, okay. um,
All of a sudden, you turn into Cro-Magnon man. Oh, other people talk different.
Not me.
Me, not me.
But it is helpful. Like, I make fun of it, and it also is, it's overwhelmingly positive. It's not a bad thing.
We build fire now.
But as part of that training, they had us take like a leadership personality test. And this model has like 4 personality types. One is like authoritative and direct. One is like charismatic and entertaining. One is like empathetic, heartfelt. And one
Turns out you are a mopey schmo.
and one of them is like detail oriented. I'm like distilling these down like too much, but that's I have a high score in all of them.
Of course.
Except authoritative and direct. Where I'm like, do you feel okay? And I'm entertaining you. And here's all the details.
Hey guys, I have an idea that we could. I'm just saying, maybe we could do some work now.
It made me laugh when I was reading it because I was like, you got me. I'm working on it.
Yes, I am not authoritative, and that's just the way it is.
I'm not mad about it. Yeah, I don't. I think I have other strengths. I don't want to be someone I'm not.
Right. No, we all have to lead from the front or behind or.
Okay, so that was just supposed to be the
lead up.
No, just quick career update, I guess, if people are paying attention or care.
Checking in, yeah.
But also, I got to see my parents for the first time in a really long time. They're in the United States, thank goodness, because we didn't even get into it, but a hurricane hit yesterday.
Yeah, I'm saving that for my checking in. Yeah.
And yesterday, it hit their house in Mexico. And I think they got over 17 inches of rain in one day.
That's like 3 feet.
That's crazy. It's insane. So, like, thank God they weren't there. That doesn't seem like a fun thing to live through. But no, yeah,
even if nothing bad happened, it would still be a nightmare.
Yes. But yeah, my parents came to our apartment. They had never been to my apartment with Smudgy there. The last time they were there, Smudgy was in school. And so they just got to see sort of our day-to-day life, and it was really nice. It is interesting because my instinct was like, oh, like what activities should we have planned, and like what should we do and where should we go? But we just wanted to be together, so we just kind of sat around and chit-chatted and like I got to show them pictures from my vacation and stuff like that. But we ate lunch, but it was a whole lot of just being in our apartment. But it was great.
Right.
It was wonderful.
Well, that's great. And how long were they there for?
Just that one day.
10 minutes.
Yes, exactly. Like actually the meter's running. They were there probably like 5 hours, 5 or 6 hours. Yeah. A good amount of time.
I can barely take an hour.
They wanted to leave with enough time to make sure they could get back to my brother's house while it was still light out. And
which is not close by, right?
Which is not close by. And also it's a treacherous drive. It's not just not close, it's like up a windy mountain. So
right.
They made it home. They made it back to Mark's house. So
oh, that's good.
Yeah. But they're such country people now. The first thing they said to me, they're like, we're not used to things being so small. And I was like, I don't know what you mean. But they meant the street itself, like the exit off the freeway to my street. It's like a 2-way street, but really can only fit one. And it's right.
That is a weird thing about LA streets, is they're all so goddamn narrow.
Yeah.
Like they're all built when nobody had cars, so they didn't park on either side of the street. Now there's like no room to get by.
Right. And my favorite's the 110 because that's a freeway that was clearly designed during like horse and buggy times because it's like the on-ramp is about 4 inches. Yeah. And then you have to be going 70 miles an hour. They're like, oh my God, it is so scary.
Whenever I have to go to Pasadena, I'm like, God damn it. You know?
You could take side streets. It just takes a long time.
Right. But it does feel like you're taking your life in your hands when you go up that little,
crazy.
That little Pasadena freeway. Yeah. Well, that's good. That's good that you got to see your parents. When you said they're now country people, I just pictured both of them being like, howdy, Amber. It's been a bit of a minute. Do you think maybe we could make ourselves an apple pie?
With banjos and overalls.
Have you seen my tooth? But anyway, okay. So checking in for me is just to say that, to ask you, what was your experience like yesterday in the hurricane and the earthquake?
Yeah, it was crazy because, and this wasn't even my checking in, but I'm from Southern California. I've lived here my entire life. I've never been in a hurricane. That's not a weather pattern that I've experienced.
Hurricane?
Hurricane?
Hurricane? Have you ever been in a hurricane?
Yes, the patriarchy. So I truly didn't know what to expect. And it was hilarious because it felt like that was the reaction across the board. I went and saw my friend Tess on Friday.
I know Tess.
And we were chatting about something else. Taylor Swift, let's be honest. We were talking about something.
Still.
We both
remember the part where she waved her hand and we all waved back and all the lights were on and there were 80,000 of us?
It's crazy. We have a chat thread. It's me, Tess, and Whitney who went there. And it's just like documenting
moment by
mentally ill we are about it. Like Tess today was like, I said, okay, now it's time to I'll just read you her text. It's better. But where is it? Oh, she was like, oh, here it is. Just said, okay, time to get serious about work. And then bought this instead. And it was just a screenshot of a Taylor Swift album on vinyl. And she's like, by the way, I still don't have a record player. I was like, yeah, I get it. I'm on the same wavelength. But I went and saw her. We were talking about Taylor Swift. And then she's like, by the way, a hurricane's coming? And I was like, oh, I know. And she's like, no, I'm saying that because I feel like 1 out of 10 people I talk to don't even know that a hurricane is coming. And both of us are from Southern California. And we were like, what does that mean? What do we do? I don't know. And the prep for it, I couldn't tell if I was being too panicked or too lenient because it felt like everyone you talked to, it was like one extreme or the other.
Mm-hmm.
But yesterday it was kind of fun. It was like a sick day. Jeff
Yeah.
and I and Smudgy just hunkered down. We didn't ever leave, and we watched too much TV, but it felt
You were
earned and
allowed. You were
okay.
allowed
Yeah,
to. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
And ate lots of junk food, and it rained really hard, and it hit like the actual hurricane. It felt like it hit later in the evening, but I did feel the earthquake, and I was on the toilet when I felt the earthquake, and it felt
Folks,
like
if you have small children, please cover their ears or get them out of the room right now because
no, I'm not going to go into anything graphic, but I was sitting on the toilet and I
I'll tell you
felt
what, I always feel an earthquake when I'm sitting on the toilet.
I felt everything sway, and I typically don't feel earthquakes. Like that's the
Mhm.
running joke is I sleep through them
Right.
because I'm from Southern California, and
Not
I like
exactly a zinger, but okay. I'll let it
it's
pass.
it's a catchphrase. um, so when I was done with my business, I was like, earthquake to
Mhm.
Jeff, and he's like, I don't think so. Like both Jeff and Smudgy had no reaction, and I looked it up and I was like, I'm right. There was an earthquake in Ojai, which is close.
Motherfuckers.
But all of that said, I really did absolutely nothing yesterday, and I kind of loved it.
It's also funny to think about the fact that you have never experienced a hurricane. So people are like, a hurricane is coming. And I just picture you being out in the, like it kind of rained a little. And if you're just out there going like, is this it? Is this the hurricane?
Jeff and I kept doing that. We're like,
Yeah.
that sounds like a lot of rain. Is that a
Yeah.
hurricane?
When does it start?
Am I hurricaning right now?
No, I have been through hurricanes, and I'm not just talking about my dating life. Thank you. But I really did not, unfortunately, take it at all seriously because I've been through too many experiences where, as what happened yesterday, where the news is like, oh my God, get out, get to higher ground. You're going to die from this hurricane. And like, nothing happens.
Right.
Famously, when I was, this is very famous. No, but when I was in,
The most famous.
this is like right after the shot heard around the world in the American Revolution, and right
Beatles on American TV at the first time.
men landing on the moon, and then this no. So I was in Worcester, which is where I went to school, and I think it was in 1985. So it was like my sophomore year of college, and there was this hurricane coming, and this was obviously before the 24-hour news cycle and before, everybody was in hysteria all the time about everything, and you were relieved that it was a hurricane and not Fonnie Willis indicting Donald Trump in Georgia. Like it was just a break from that for a few minutes. So back then, I don't know how word spread so quickly, but all over the campus, people were like, oh my God, we're going to die. There's going to be a hurricane tomorrow. So one of the things that happened was everybody took masking tape and put it over their windows so that when the winds came and shattered the windows, there wouldn't be broken glass everywhere. The glass would still be stuck together by the masking tape. And I'm sure there was some stocking up on whatever, the cereal that you got for free from the dining hall or, and it was
resource hoarding seems to be
yesterday people were
theme in this country at least.
Yeah, people were going crazy at supermarkets yesterday, but it was nothing. It was like a little windy and a little drizzly, and the whole campus was outside just getting fucking hammered and sliding around in the mud. And it was like one of the greatest days of college because the hurricane didn't happen. Yeah, all classes are all canceled. It was just a big fucking party. So that was one of the things I was thinking of. I was like, I know this is not going to be a thing, but what was a thing? So I was teaching yesterday while all that stuff was going on. So I had people on Zoom, and so imagine that I'm on Zoom right now.
It's real easy for me to picture.
and we're in a class.
Somehow you painted a picture.
No, I'm saying like it's not exactly like this, but it's on Zoom.
Sure.
We're not together like this. We're in Zoom boxes.
Uh-huh.
And one of my students all of a sudden, so we're just talking about somebody's script or something, and one of my students just suddenly goes, "Oh my God, you guys, it's an earthquake! It's an earthquake! There's going to be an earthquake! There's oh my God!" And like, I get it because it
I
is
mean,
a little weird and
it's a
frightening.
natural disaster.
But for me, I was not feeling anything.
So it just seemed like they were
No,
insane.
I was like, holy shit, the walls are going to come down because right when she was saying that, I got a thing on my phone that said earthquake alert. And then like 2 seconds went by. And
And
then,
you thought like this is the big one.
yeah, I was like, oh, this is when Warren Zevon says California slides into the ocean like the mystics and statistics say it will. This is it. It's all over.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like,
it was fun while it lasted.
And that was it, you know? And I was like, oh, are you? And then I was talking to her because she was on Zoom. Like, imagine we're not.
I got it.
And I was like, is everything okay? And she was like, yeah, the pictures were shaking on the walls. But so then we talked about earthquakes for like 15 minutes.
She's not from California, I'm guessing.
She is. She grew up in California.
That's insane. That's a crazy reaction.
But in her defense, she was in like Santa Clarita, so she was closer.
Oh, it was probably
to the epicenter, so it was a little bit stronger. Yeah.
In Ojai is actually pretty big.
Mm-hmm. Right. It's 5.5 in Ojai is like a 6.4 in Rancho Cucamonga. Oh, no, you're talking about, yes. That was the big joke yesterday was like category 5 and like a category 5 in the Pacific is a category 1 in LA. Like nobody, you know. I don't know. I love math jokes. They're very funny.
It's so funny.
They're zingers. But anyway, it was an adventurous day to have a hurricane and an earthquake.
It was too much.
And it was also funny because I was getting texts from people in other parts of the country going, are you okay out there? Yeah. And I was like,
yeah.
Yep. You know,
right.
Also, who is this? Your number is not in my phone. So, and it turned out it was mostly consumer loan associations.
That's a good tactic.
You know, sales, marketing.
I feel like the way it affected us the most was we couldn't walk smudgy as much as we wanted to.
I've heard that from dog owners that, you know, what do we do now?
And then we were watching movies and we just kept having to turn up the volume. We're like, all right, hurricane, we get it. Like how it affected us the most was how loud it was on the TV. And our power never went out. Like it was never.
My concern was, because I've had a couple of times over the last few years, terrible water damage from rainstorms. And so my concern was, will the drains on the roof work properly? So I was going to go up there before the storm and just clear out whatever debris was in there. And then, of course, nope, didn't happen. And luckily, nothing bad happened. There was no flooding on my roof. But yeah, it just felt like I was not, aside from that one moment where my student was on Zoom, like not with me.
That's been made very clear.
You know, there's a camera on her computer, and I
with
can
the computers,
see,
the internet,
but other than that, it was like not at all a big deal ever. And I kept on, and like, of course, I'm a easily influenced by other people's hysteria, I guess, but not that easily. So like, people were like, "Oh my God, you gotta get matches and candles and canned food and make sure you have plenty of water." And so I took like 2 pitchers and filled them with water just in case. Like it would have lasted me a couple hours if the water had gone out, you know. But that was the only concession I made to feel.
This is how sort of bipolar this like perfectly shows the dichotomy in the reaction is the night before I was at my friend Lampy's house for a brief amount of time hanging out, and we were all talking about our preparations, and she had tea lights. Like, we wanted to make sure we had enough candles. So she handed us all, like, she's like, I got a lot of extra tea lights. So she handed them out. But she's like, oh, same person. She's like, tomorrow I'm going to take dance class in the morning. And I was like, what? So I don't know. I was like, I'm not going to go to dance class, but go crazy.
Well, we went out to breakfast this morning, and the place we were, the server was like, it was fucking packed in here yesterday. Like,
that's crazy.
People just came out to
watch or something,
to party during the hurricane. You know? The maitre d' said that, you know, the concierge did not have a good time yesterday, but the server.
But I think there might be something to the storm of it all, or like the fact that we were in a disaster. I could not stop snacking. Like, I ate food as though not in a way that I normally do. It was really fun, but we had like popcorn and chips, and like it was also, Jeff was like, good thing this wasn't a multi-day thing, because we went through all our supplies in one day.
Right. Well, I feel like it's a couple things. One thing is rules are off. No one cares anymore.
Totally. And calories don't count.
Right. And the other thing is you do stock up on comfort foods during those times.
And it was fun.
I'll never forget buying on 9/11, going to the grocery store to get cheese doodles. And that's not even a joke. That's real. You know, that was how it was a sad day.
That's what got me.
That's what's happening, folks. All right. Time for a segment on the show that we like to call Parting Shots. Oh, here's the thing I forgot to mention. I got something from somebody right before the show, and I only watched it once, so I'm going to fuck this up. But apparently there's another recall on Trader Joe's foods for having stuff in them.
I forgot we even did this before.
It was rocks in the cookies, right? Wasn't that the thing?
We don't know what kind of cookies. Yeah. We don't know what kind of rock.
But now it's like, and I don't know what's in there. I don't even know. Like, I don't know what they found in it. But it's like the stoned wheat thins have been recalled because there's maybe it's stones. Maybe the cookies was rocks, and this is
too literal.
Yeah. Come on, who's ever's pranking?
Come on,
Joe's by putting things.
Maybe they've cultivated a work culture where they can really tell.
This is another zinger. We're gonna put stones in the stoned wheat thins, and we're gonna make them fat because they ain't gonna be thins no more. All right. Time for parting shots. Amber.
Damn it. I feel like I accidentally went through it all.
Well, let me do this because, well, if you have something, great. But if not, I'm going to put you on the spot.
Love this.
For me, and you don't even have to answer anything.
For me.
Right.
For you, for me.
So I have certain things, and I don't even know what to call this. But I have certain things that I do all the time in conversation with people because I think it's funny to me, but the other person might not even know.
It's a life bit.
Right. But they might not even realize.
Oh, yeah. It's personal life bit.
Yeah. So, and they come up over and over again. And so my question to you is there a name? You're just saying that's called a life bit.
Yeah.
Okay.
I have some, and some are like reflexive. They're almost against my will. And because they're so ingrained in me from growing up with my dad. I'm trying to think of ones if somebody says can't complain, you say it doesn't do any good anyway. It's not even like really a joke. It's just like something I reflexively say.
Right.
Man, I can't think of them now, but there is a lot that were directly like embedded into my brain from my dad. And occasionally I will say them and people will laugh and I will actually be surprised because I don't even think of it as a joke now. It's just it's like a reflex, you know, when you hit the bottom of your knee and your foot jerks. It's just like, it's something you say.
You hit your knee?
Like the doctors, they check your reflexes. They hit under your knee.
Doctors hitting you?
Oh my God. You're being funny.
Am I really? Well, I get what you're saying. Mine are a little different
Okay.
because for mine, I feel like almost like I'm playing a character in a sense
Okay.
of like here's an example is if anybody ever expresses, I forget what you said a little while ago. Oh, it wasn't a good example for what I was talking about, but like if anybody ever says like something, the there were 2 dozen eggs on sale for $1.49, I would just immediately answer that math problem. Like I would just go, so total would be $25. And like I have no idea whether that's correct or not, but it's funny to me because
Uh-huh.
I'm pretending that I know what I'm talking about. And the other person often will think that I know what I'm talking
Because you
about
say it with such confidence.
and not even bat an eye
Yeah,
and
yeah,
just
yeah.
be like, oh, okay, I guess it's 20. But then sometimes you'll see people go like, wait, that doesn't seem, no, I don't think it's 20, which is also funny to me when people
Like
like
they're like getting out
argue
their
about it.
calculator.
Yeah. And
It's a
another,
win-win situation.
yeah. And
Well,
another, sorry, go ahead.
that reminds me of one really quick.
Yeah.
If the total of whatever it is 4 digits, you say, "Oh, that was a good year." Like no matter no matter what. Do you know what I'm saying?
2049.
Yeah.
That was a good year. Well, that was Blade Runner 2 was that year. So I don't know if it was a good year. But so here's another one, and this is why I bring this up, is you tell me your birth. We all know, we've talked about it on the show a million times, but tell me when your birthday, just say like, pretend you and I are like talking on a conversation. We're on
talking on a conversation.
So we're on Zoom and we're just talking on a conversation and
talking on a conversation. I'm obsessed with things like that.
Well, but I am too. Like that's another example where I will just keep saying the same thing wrong yeah. But anyway, so you and I are talking on a conversation on Zoom and you say, this is when my birthday is. And so tell me when your birthday is.
November 24th.
Your birthday is November 24th. Oh, so you're a Libra. That totally makes sense. And like, I don't know, what is your actual,
Sagittarius, obviously. Look at me.
So to me, again, it's like a character, like a guy who
thinks he's
just is 100% positive that he knows astrology and that you saying that makes total sense. Like I know your personality well enough that it matches the astrological sign, which isn't even the correct astrological sign. And then you get, and sometimes you know what your astrological sign is, and people sometimes don't know it.
And they're like, oh, really? Tell me more.
And they're like, oh, I didn't, And so again, to me, it's like a win-win. Like nobody knows quite how to handle it. And
they either think you're a genius or an idiot, and either way.
Or a weirdo, or like way too into astrology. And it makes me laugh whichever way it comes out, and all of that is by way of saying that one of my friends the other day on a Facebook thread I'm on, there's a bunch of us on this Facebook thread. Somebody was like, happy birthday, Jim. And I followed that up and I was like, yeah, happy birthday, Jim. Of course you're a Leo. And then I looked it up and it was a Leo.
You were right.
And that made me laugh even harder because I was like, now it seems like I really do know what I'm talking about. So anyway, all I'm saying is I am insane.
That's so funny. Jeff and I it's almost borderline like we have our own language now, where if one of us says something incorrect once, that is now the new word for the thing. But it's tough because, especially in the pandemic, I'm a little bit more socialized, but like I was like, I don't know, I have to like really think about my words, because once instead of saying like, oh, I did that on purpose, someone said on purple, and so now it's like, now we always say that, like, oh yeah, no, did you mean to do that? Yeah, it was on purple. Like we say that every single time. The famous mountain lion, which was P22,
I think it was K69.
I have to think about it so hard because I once referred to it as P90X, which is a workout system. And from then on out, both of us call it P90X. And so we'll be like, there's probably more coyotes because P90X is gone. God rest his soul.
Right.
I don't know. There's like a whole laundry list of us just talking like insane people, but we love it.
Right. Yeah, that's what a relationship is all about, is communicating at a level that other people don't understand. I'm jealous. Because
if you just sound like an idiot so
to other
easily.
People. Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm like, I'm intentionally sounding like an idiot, so.
I get it, you guys. That was on purpose.
On purple.
On purple. I know I'm not a Taurus, okay?
Well, and so I am a little bit into astrology, and so sometimes I will tell him, Jeff, what's going on, or if he's at all upset, I'm like, well,
the moon is in the 7th house.
Yeah.
And Jupiter's aligned with Mars.
So now he's always just like, the goddamn moon, like he's like, what's the moon doing now? And I'm like, I don't think that's the right energy to be coming at this work with, but
I think the moon is always in the 7th house,
It's not.
It is. Anytime I hear that song, it's like the moon is in the 7th house. All right. Well, this is the long shot. This has been the long shot, and this will forever be the long shot. We're so glad you guys were here. We're so glad you're there. We are on Zoom. We're not like it looks like I should be able to poke Amber in the head right now.
Well, you don't know. It might be the other direction.
Oh, right.
What I mean is, I guess there's only 2 of us, so there's limited options. But sometimes I'm in a Zoom with like 5 people, and they're like, "Let's just go around in order." And I'm like,
everybody has a different order. Right. That happens in my classes when there's like 10 people there, and they're like, "Okay, I guess we'll go next to the person who's right next to me," and everybody's just like,
"You should say their name."
Yeah. Because... But anyway, Amber and I are on Zoom right now, so we're not in the same.
It. Close your eyes.
Like we're in, folks, please hit subscribe and like, and thanks for being here. Please enjoy yourselves. Have a nice week and stay safe. Watch out for hurricanes and earthquakes, and we'll see you next time on Long Shot. Bye. Oh boy.
You can do it.
And now I am gone again. Of all the things that I've ever had to wish for, now I just hope that I don't starve to death. If I don't get on wheels or nothing, at least I'll get you off my chest. As long as it's not on my spine. Now that you were mine, ba-ba, ba-da-ba, you're 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 mine. Ba-da-ba in your mind, ba-ba, ba-da-ba in your mind. Ba-da-ba in your mind, ba-ba, ba-da-ba in your mind. Ba-da-ba in your mind, ba-ba, ba-da-ba in your mind, ba-ba, ba-da-ba, da-da-da.